Hello, everyone. I welcome you folks to this live session. And in today's session, we will go through a Kaggle competition. And this is one of those simplest Kaggle competitions that you will find over there. And recently, we've been getting a lot of requests with respect to how to start off with Kaggle, what is the procedure, how can we start participating in the Kaggle competitions. And keeping that in mind, we have decided to conduct a live session on that. Now, to those folks who are new to data science or machine learning and would want to get started with this session is conducted especially for you guys. So, before we start off, could you just let me know if you can hear me and if also the screen is visible to you guys? Just give me a quick confirmation, and if everything is proper, we can start off with the session. And also, I'd like to tell you that we have a free learning platform called as Great Learning Academy. As you see over here, this is the site, and you will be able to find the link for Great Learning Academy in the description. And on Great Learning Academy, we have all of these different courses with respect to data science, ML, AI, big data, digital marketing, and a lot more. And when you complete these courses, you will get a course completion certificate, which you can go ahead and add onto your resume or onto your LinkedIn page. And that would be a huge value add to you folks. And also, if you're interested in learning through an app, we also have the Great Learning app. You can also find the link for that in the chat. Now, before I start off, if to all of the folks who are new to our channel, I'd like to request you folks to subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon, as it will encourage us to come up with more such live sessions on a regular basis. And also you will be notified whenever we come up with new live sessions. So please do subscribe and also click on the bell icon. And also I see that we have a watching of 41 and we only have 9 likes. So if we can quickly get up to 41 likes, that would be much appreciated. So we will start off with today's session. So to you folks, you just have to open your browser, whichever browser you are using, and just type in kaggle.com, and this is the site which you will get. So here you have all of these different tabs over here. You will have a tab on compete. I'll go back. Let me go to home over here. You have datasets, you have notebooks, you have discuss option. Sort of all of these, you would have to go to this particular tab, which is compete. And as you see over here, you have all of these different competitions over here. And there is also a prize money if you win this particular competition. So for this answer correctness prediction, so if you win this competition, you get to win $100,000, and that is a huge amount. Similarly, you have this competition over here, NFL Big Data Bowl. This again, if you win, you will get a chance to win $100,000 again. So all of these, so if you are new to data science or ML, these again would be a bit difficult for you to enter. So what Kaggle does is they also provide you with some very easy competitions which all of the beginners can take up. So here, as you see, the Titanic competition is a great first challenge to get started, and this is what most of the beginners start off with. So I'll click over here, machine learning from disaster, and you have the description over here. So this is with respect to if you have seen the movie Titanic, then you would know that the ship, it met with a really bad fate, and most of the people who were on board Titanic, they lost their lives. So here we try to understand what is the chance of survival of the passengers who were on board Titanic. So here, as you see, we have the basic description. So on April 15, 1912, during her maiden voyage, so here Titanic had sunk, and as you see over here, there were 2,224 passengers and crew. And out of the 2,224 passengers, 1,500 folks had lost their lives, which is a huge number. So what we are basically trying to understand over here is, so with respect to different passengers, with respect to their age or gender, or what was the compartment they were staying in, what was the likelihood of a passenger or a crew member surviving this disaster. And to enter the competition, as you see over here, first you would have to sign in, you would have to register yourself. After you sign in, then you get the data over here. So click on the data tab, and as you see, the data consists of the training set and the testing set, and you will be performing all of your analysis, all of your models on top of the training set first. After that, you will go on to the test set and predict your values. So you would have to download these two files, train.csv and test.csv. So I've already downloaded them, and if you would want access to these files, so you can click on the link over here. You will get both of these data sets and also the code file which I have created for you folks. So either you can go to Kaggle and download it by yourselves, or also we have provided the data sets and the notebook for you guys today. So someone in my team will be providing the link, so you can just click on that link and you'll have access to both of these data sets and the code file. Now, once you download the data sets, you have an option to submit. So click on join competition. What I'll do is I'll open up Kaggle over here. So I have already logged in. So this is my account. Let me go to home. Let me click on compete over here. Let me go to Titanic. So here, after you join the competition, you will have the option to submit predictions. So this is how you will be submitting the result which you will get. And the result, you would have to submit it in the form of a .csv file. So in today's session, what we have to do is, the agenda is this. So the problem statement is, you have the data. Let's actually have a glance at the data first. So let's start off by looking at the train.csv file. So in this train.csv, you have all of these different columns: passenger ID, survived, passenger class, name, sex, age, sibling SP, PARC, and so on. And here we have this variable called as survived, where we have 0 and 1, which would tell us if the passenger has survived or not. And this is our training set. So we'll be doing all of our analysis on this training set, and we need to predict the values on top of this test set. So here, if you look at this test set, you will have the same columns. So you have passenger ID, passenger class, name, and so on, except the survived column. So we will build our model on top of the train set, and we will predict on top of this test set. So for the records which are there in this test set, we need to predict if this particular passenger or the passengers who are present in the test set, will they survive or not. So that is the problem statement for this competition. So now that it is clear, we will open our Jupyter notebook and start off with this. So first we would require certain libraries. So we would require pandas and matplotlib. So pandas is a library which is used for data manipulation and data wrangling, and matplotlib is a library which is used for data visualization. And here I'm just giving an alias for both of these. Import pandas as PD. PD is the alias for pandas. Then from matplotlib, I am importing the submodule pyplot, and I am giving this an alias of plt. And let me just start off by running this particular cell. So here we have successfully imported the required libraries, which are pandas and matplotlib. Now after doing that, I need to import the data sets. So the train and the test set, which are present over here, I have renamed them as Titanic train.csv and Titanic test.csv. So if I show you the home page over here, I have these two CSV files present in my home page. So if you would want to upload it onto Jupyter Notebook, this is how you will do it. Click on upload, and you can directly select the data set and click on open. That is how you'll be able to upload your files. Now after you uploaded your files, you can directly read those CSV files using this read_CSV method, which is part of the pandas library. So here I am loading the train.csv file using pd.read_csv, and this I will store in this object called as Titanic train. Then similarly, I will load this dataset called as Titanic test.csv, and this I'll be storing in Titanic test. So I have imported the required libraries, and I have also imported the required datasets. Now let me quickly have a glance at the first 5 records of the train set, Titanic train.head. This head method would give us the first 5 records which are present over here. We've got the passenger ID, which is just your generic ID for each passenger. Then you have this survived column. So 0 here indicates that the passenger had was not so unfortunately had lost his life. 1 would mean that he was able to fortunately get off the disaster. Then you have the passenger class. So I'll just show you what passenger class over here means. So we have the description for all of the different columns over here. We have passenger class, where this is basically the ticket class. You have 1, 2, and 3. So you have the first class, second class, and the third class. Then you have the sex, which would just tell you if the passenger is male or female. Then you have the age of the passenger in years. Then you have SIB-SP. So number of siblings or spouses aboard the Titanic. So here you see number of siblings or spouses aboard the Titanic. So here, let's say this passenger, Owen Harris, either had a sibling aboard Titanic, or it could be either spouse or a sibling. Similarly over here, if we look at Mrs. John Bradley, then most probably her husband was also present on board the Titanic. Then we have the next column, number of parents or children aboard the Titanic. So this is P-ARC. So here you would see that for the first 5 records over here, or the first 5 passengers, they did not have either their parents or their children on board the ship. Then we have the next column, which is ticket number, which is just the ticket, which just gives the number for the ticket which they had purchased. Then we have the cabin number, the cabin in which they were staying. Then we have embarked, so port of embarkation. This tells you from which place did they onboard the ship. So you have C, Q, and S. C is for Sherbrooke, Q is for Queenstown, and S is for Southampton. And now that all of this is clear, we can so we have loaded the required libraries, we have loaded the required data sets, and we've understood about the data set. Now before we actually go ahead and build our model, let's do a bit of EDA, or exploratory data analysis, to understand the underlying structure of the data. So I just want to understand the number of records and columns which are present in this data frame, and for that purpose I can use this shape method. So I'll write down Titanic train dot shape, and you would see that this data frame has 891 records and 12 columns. So this means that there are 891 passengers. So this data frame gives you information about 891 unique passengers. Then I have this column called as survived, as I've told you, and I would want to know how many of the passengers had survived and how many of the passengers had lost their life. So since this is, you have only two categories over here, 0 and 1, and if I would want to find out the frequency of a categorical column, I need to use the value counts method, and that is exactly what I'm doing over here. So Titanic train is the name of the data frame, and in parentheses I given the name of the column which is survived. Then I use the value counts method, and you would see that out of the 891 passengers, only 342 were able to survive. 549 had lost their life, unfortunately. So this is just the basic analysis which you've done. Now, if I would actually want to plot this using a bar plot, I would need this library called as matplotlib, and we've also imported this subplot pyplot as plt, and I am creating a bar plot over here. So plt.figure, and I'm just setting a figure size which is 5,5. Then going ahead to make this bar plot, I will be using plt.bar, and this takes in 3 parameters. The first parameter in a bar plot, you need to give in categorical values, then you need to give in numerical entries, then you need to, I'm just setting the color of the bars. So here when I write Titanic train survived dot value counts dot keys, let me show you what this actually means over here. So till here command is the same. This what you see, Titanic train survived dot value counts. Till here the command is the same. After this, so let's say if I only want 0 or 1, what I'll do is I will use dot keys method over here. Now I will hit on run, and you would see that I have only extracted 0 and 1, right? I do not have the values over here. I only have 0 and 1. So if I would want to extract the categories, I will use dot keys. So that is what I'm giving as the first parameter. The second parameter, I would want the values. So the values will be 549 and 342, and that is what I'm giving as the second parameter. And finally, I set a color for these bars, and I am assigning them a red color. Then I go ahead and just print out this plot with the help of plt.show. And here, as you see, so right now we have not actually converted this into a categorical variable per se. So here 0 and 1 in this particular data frame, it is being treated as a numerical column, and that is why on the x-axis you have the range is from minus 0.25 to 1.25, but just consider that this over here, this indicates 0 and this indicates 1, and as you clearly see, this is very clear that there are more folks who have lost their lives than those folks who have actually survived. So this is interesting. So let's say if I would want to assign different colors to both of these bars, what I can do is I can put in a list over here, and for those folks who have lost their lives, I can give them a red color, and for those folks who have survived, I can give them a green color. And here, as you see, so this bar indicates all of those folks who have lost their lives, and this bar indicates all of those folks who have survived. So this is something interesting over here. Now we'll head on to the next part, and before that, let me actually see if there are any questions in the chat. Coding best skill is asking Hindi mein padhaiye. So in this particular session, we are conducting this in English, but we also do conduct a lot of sessions in Hindi as well. So if you want to know when is the next Hindi session, you can go to Great Learning Academy and see when is the next Hindi session scheduled. So as you see over here, we have a session on Docker in Hindi, so you can go over there. And also this is a request from my side to not spam in the chat, as it will be difficult for other attendees to ask their questions. And if you keep spamming, someone from my team would give you timeout or would ban you. So please maintain the decorum of the chat and do not spam over here. So we have made a simple bar plot over here. Now after this, I would similarly want to analyze the passengers. So how many passengers were were in the first class, how many passengers were in the second class, and how many passengers were in the third class. So again, since we have three categories over here, I am using the value counts method. So Titanic train, in the parenthesis, I am giving in this column name, which is P class, and I use this method value counts. And here you would see that most of the passengers, they they were in the third class. So 491 passengers were in the third class. Then you have 216 passengers who were in the second class, in the first class actually, and you had 184 members who were in the second class. So this is something interesting. Then similarly, as I've made a bar plot for this, if I would similarly want to make a bar plot for the P class column as well, I'd want to do similar things. So first, with the help of plt.figure, I can set the figure size. So figure size, I am giving it as 5,5, which are just the dimensions of the image. Then plt.bar, first I need to get in the categorical values. That is why I am using dot keys over here. Then I need to give in the numerical values, and then I'm setting a color for all of the bars. So I'm giving an orange color, and then I just go ahead and show out the result to you folks. So here you have 1, 2, and 3. And as you see, most of the passengers, they belong to the third class. Also, let's say if I would want to give in different colors over here for all of these different bars. So let's say for first class, maybe I'll give in blue. For second class, I'll give in green. And for third class, maybe I'll set this as orange. So here, this is passenger 1, this is compartment 1, this is compartment 2, and this is compartment 3. So we've done this. And now, again, similar stuff. I would want to know, we have the sex column over here, which would tell me how many of the passengers were male and how many of the passengers were female. And if I would want to know the frequency distribution of it, I would use the same command. Let me scroll down. Here you see that Titanic train, the name of the column is sex, and I use the value counts method, which would give me the frequency count. So you would see that out of the 890 odd passengers, 577 of them were male passengers and 314 of them were female passengers. Now again, I'd want to make a bar plot out of this. So plt.figure. So first we have the categorical entries. For that, I am using the dot keys method. Then I will pass in the numerical entries, and I'll just set a color over here. So here, this is male. Here you have female. So again, you have close to this is around 577. This would be around 300. And this is what this tells you. So this is some basic visualization over here. Again, let me head back to the chat and see if any more questions are there. Pratik is asking, the part which you're currently teaching, does it come under reading data or data pre-processing? What I'm currently doing is exploratory data analysis, or in short, you can call it EDA. So in EDA, we basically perform or we basically try to understand the structure of the data, what exactly is present in the data, so that whenever we are building the model, we have a better idea of of the different the information which is present in the data set which we are working with. VIP 2.0 is asking, can you do like this continuously? I mean, explain the Kaggle competitions and how to do that. It will be helpful. Well, we can try that. So we'll keep this request in mind, and maybe in the coming weeks we will have, we'll have more sessions where I'll guide you folks through on different competitions. Khalid is asking, did you convert test data to train data? No. So in this competition, you would see that you have the test data and train data given over there itself. So this is the training set and this is the testing set. Whatever I'm doing currently, I'm doing it on top of this data. And I'll also be building the model on this data. It's just that when I'm predicting, I will be predicting the values on top of the test set. So I'll take up the rest of the questions later on. So we have made this plot, and then so we have the age column over here, and I don't want to understand the distribution of age. So since here this is clearly a numeric column, when it's clearly a numeric column, you don't have separate categories. You will go with a histogram and not a bar plot. You'd have to understand the distribution, the difference between a bar plot and a histogram. So a bar plot is normally used whenever you are working with categorical data, and a histogram is normally used whenever you're working with numerical data. And since age over here is numerical data, I'll be building a histogram and not a bar plot. And here, as you see, again, I'm setting the figure size over here, which is 5,7. And to make a histogram, I'll be using plt.hist and not plt.bar. And inside this, I can just pass in the column for which I would want to make this histogram. So it is Titanic train age. I'm setting the title for this plot, and I am setting the X label for this plot. So the title is distribution of age and the X label is age. Then I similarly go and print this out over here, and this is the plot which we get. If you look at this, you will see that most of the passengers, so if you look at this particular peak over here, so they were between 20 and 30. So you had around 170 or close to maybe even 200 odd passengers whose age was between 20 and 30. And there were very few senior folks over here. So if you see this age of 70 to 80, maybe you had only 1 or 2 passengers who were in the age group of 70 to 80. Again, if you look at this, so you also had around more than 50 passengers who were only in the age of 0 to 10. So all of this information you'll be able to understand by just building this simple histogram over here. And now this was all about the exploratory data analysis. But the question or the problem statement over here is we would need to predict on the test data how many of the passengers will survive. So for that purpose, I need to build a model. And for that, now prior to building a model, you need to understand that you can't directly build a model on top of those columns which have missing values or where the data is incorrect. So now here, what I'd want to do is I would want to build a model where my dependent variable is the survived column and independent variable is the age column. So what I'm trying to understand is on the basis of the age of the passenger, whether this passenger will survive or not. So survived is the dependent variable, age is the independent variable. And since I'd have to check those two, first I'll start off by checking the survived column in the train set, and I will check if there are any null values present in this particular column. So to check if there are any null values, I can use the dot is null. So first I'll remove this sum method from over here. I'll just hit on run, and you see that you have a bunch of false values. Now I would want to know, so if it's false, then it would mean that there are no null values. If it is true, then it would mean that null values are present. So I am just summing this up to see if to get the count of number of null values present, and I get a value of 0, which means that there are no null values present over here. And then similarly, what I'm doing is I will check for the so this time I would have to check for the age column actually. So this has to be Titanic train age. Let me remove this sum from over here. Let me also remove this. Now when I hit on run, so here you see that you have a bunch of false values, then you have a true value over here. So this means that the age column has certain null values. Let me see how many null values are present. So I'll paste it over here inside sum. So you would see that this age column has 177 null values. And before building the model, I would either have to impute these null values or remove these null values. And in today's session, we'll be doing something very easy. So what I can do is I can just go ahead and remove all of the null values which are present. And to drop the null values, I have this method called as drop NA. So I'll give in the name of this data frame Titanic train, and I'll use the drop NA method. Then I will go ahead and store this back in the Titanic train dataset. Now let me go up again. So this time I'm clicking on run, and you would see that there are 0 null values. Again, you would see that since I have dropped all of the null values which are present in the age column, here the sum is 0. Let me actually change this to age and not survived. So here it is 0 for both survived and age as well. So we have done this, the basic pre-processing is done. Then we can go ahead and extract our independent and dependent variables. So our dependent variable will be survived and our independent variable will be age. So from Titanic train data frame, I am extracting the age column and I am storing it in X train object. Then from the Titanic train dataset, I am extracting the survived column and I am storing it in Y train object. So I have my dependent variable and independent variable ready. Now after this, to build a classification model. So there are a lot of classification models. You will have logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, Naive-Bayes, SVM, and a lot more. Out of these, one of the most widely used classifier is the decision tree classifier. And to work with this, so this is present in the tree library. So from sklearn.tree, you'll be importing decision tree classifier. And here again, you would have to keep in mind that this is case sensitive. So here D will be capital, T will be capital, and C will be capital. So you're importing decision tree classifier from sklearn.tree. Then you will make an object of decision tree classifier. So DTC is the object or the instance which I am creating for this. Then I will just go ahead and fit the model or build the model on top of the training set. So my training set comprises of the dependent variable and the independent variable. And with the help of dtc.fit, I am building this on top of the train set. So here I have successfully built this. Now after building the models, I need to predict the value on top of the test set. So to build this model on top of the test set, so here as you see, I have imported the, where do we have this? Right. So Titanic test.csv, and I have imported this in this object called as Titanic test. And after importing, what I'd want to do is I would want to predict it on top of the test set. So here, so again in the test set, I am checking if there are any null values present. So in the Titanic test data set, I have the age column. So here as you see, there are 86 null values which are present in the test set as well. So I'll just go ahead and drop all of these null values. So this time it will be Titanic test dot drop NA, and I will store it in this object called as Titanic test. Now again, let me copy this same command, paste it over here. Now let me see how many null values are present. So I have dropped all of the null values. So now that I have dropped the null values, let me extract the age column from the test set and store it in this object called as X test. So this is our test set. So we have built the model on top of the test set, and we have here we are predicting the values on top of the test set. So DTC is our model which we have built, and with the help of this model we are predicting on top of the test set. So DTC dot predict, inside this we will pass in X test, and I am storing this in Y pred. So let me just print out Y pred for you guys over here, and this is what we get. So for the records which are present in the test set, you have successfully predicted the values. So for passenger 1 in the test set, you predicted that he will survive. For passenger 2, you predicted that he will not survive. 3, he will survive. 4, he will survive, and so on. So guys, this was a very simple competition. So this is what most of the folks start off with, right? So this result which you've got, that you just have to convert it into a CSV file and click on submit predictions, and you will be able to submit it. As simple as that. So this is what you will normally start off with whenever whenever you'd want to work on a Kaggle competition. So you can read about different things over here. So also the best thing about Kaggle is, let's say if you have a problem in working with the competition, you already have this discussion page over here where a lot of folks would be asking different questions. If you have any problems, you can go to discussion page and ask wherever you have a problem with. Similarly, you'll also have a lot of contributions over here. So a lot of folks would have already submitted their results. So you can go through their results and also check what have they done over here. Then you have the leaderboard, which tells you their score over here. So here, as you see, Madamani has the, he has got a perfect score of 1, and he had submitted this 2 months back, right? So these are some of the entries over here. Then you have certain rules, and you can also participate in Kaggle as a team. So here, so since this is my account, I've just participated, I've just participated over here from my account. So VIP 2.0 is asking, we've only used one independent variable, what about other columns? So I've just given you a very basic explanation of how to get started with this competition, how to build up, how to download the data set, how to work on this, and how to submit your entries. So let's say if you want to go ahead, so there are a lot of things which you can do over here. I built a very simple baseline model. You can go ahead and build other models as well. You can build a random forest, you can build a naive-based algorithm, you can use other columns for your prediction. You can also get a mix of categorical columns and numerical columns. So all of that you can work out by yourself. So consider this as your baseline, and whatever you'd want to do, take that as an assignment. So wherever you would need help, you can go to this discussion page over here, and you can get all of your doubts solved. So Nisha, the model accuracy, since we don't have the observed values, so if you look at the test set over here, the accuracy you can you will get it once you submit it. So here, if you look at the test set, I'll show you the test set over here. So this does not have the observed values. This does not have the survived column. So we can't directly check the accuracy of the model which we have built. So once you submit it, that is when you will get the accuracy. Rohit is asking what is the benefit or prices of this competition. So as I've shown you guys, go to this competitions page. You have all of these prize money over here. So let's say if you win this particular competition, you stand to win $100,000. Similarly, this NFL Big Data Bowl, if you win this, you stand to get $100,000. And also the best part about Kaggle is, let's say if you know some of the top companies directly hire from Kaggle, if you are one of if you are among the top winners of most of these competitions conducted on Kaggle. But then again, you'd have to understand that these competitions are very difficult. So what we've done right now is a very basic one which everyone starts off when they sign into Kaggle. But what if all of these different competitions over here, so $100,000 is a huge amount. And here you actually have PhD, you have PhD scholars, you have data scientists, data analysts working on these different competitions, and it is those folks who normally win this huge prize money. So as a beginner, you can start off with the basic competitions, and as you keep on increasing your skills, you can go ahead and compete in your in these difficult competitions. So that is why I've showed you a very basic competition, because if you directly head on to, let's say, this NFL Big Data Bowl competition over there, folks would be using a lot of complex neural networks over there. They'll be building a neural network which would have maybe hundreds or even thousands of layers of neural nets, and they would have maybe 5 or 6 years of experience where they're working on Kaggle and they're competing in these competitions. Right, so Kaggle has a lot of different competitions, starting from the baseline ones to the to the really complicated ones. Bharat, so the code submitted, you can't see the code submitted by other folks, but let's say if someone has given their notebooks over here, you can check their notebooks from over here. So as you see, go to this notebooks tab. Here you have all of their code files over here. That is something you can check out. Garvit is asking how to find more data sets like this for beginner level. So click on this data tab over here. So you have a lot of public data sets. So let's say if I would want to find something related to, so let's say I'll just write down IPL. So here you have multiple data sets related to IPL. Similarly, if I need something with FIFA, I'll write down FIFA. And as you see, you have a lot of data sets with FIFA. Again, maybe if I write something such as, I don't know, US elections, let's just see. So as you see, you have a lot of data sets with respect to US elections as well. So go to the data tab and write down whatever you would want to find. Pratik is asking, is it necessary that we can find various data sets only on Kaggle or GitHub? GitHub is also really helpful, and there are multiple sites where you can get open source data sets. So you have UCI machine learning repository, you have also, if you'd want data sets related to India, there's data.gov.in. So you can go to data.gov.in and you can also get data sets relating to our country from over there. Vaibhav is asking, how can we play with the election data? Well, you can just go ahead and download this data set first, see what are the different columns present, see what is the problem statement, and start working on it. So first start off with exploratory data analysis, then you can go ahead with the machine learning process. So guys, I guess that would be it. So today's was a very simple session where we learned how to start off with the first competition on Kaggle. So it's extremely simple. Go to kaggle.com, click on compete. All of you can start off with this basic competition, which is Titanic. So anyone, and I believe anyone and everyone, can work with this simple competition. So this is the easiest competition which is present on Kaggle. So you can go over here submit your submit your results and see how do you perform, and keep working on this site, and try and see if you can work with different if you can actually go ahead and compete in these competitions where you have really huge amounts of money being given to you. VIP 2.0 is asking, can this be done with TensorFlow? What is the difference between these libraries and TensorFlow? Yes, absolutely, that can be done with TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is a deep learning framework which would help you to build a lot of neural networks and implement a lot of stuff related to machine learning. So again, since this is a very basic class, I've told you how to build a baseline model. So with the help of TensorFlow, what you can do is you can basically build neural networks, and those neural networks would also help you to perform this classification. So guys, I guess this would be it for today's session. This was a very simple session. So thank you very much for attending, and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.